a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Steve McQueen. Terence Steven. Steve McQueen was an American actor. He was called the King of Cool. His anti-hero persona developed at the height of the counterculture of the 1960s and made him a top box office draw of the 1960s and 1970s. McQueen received an Academy Award nomination for his role in the Sand Pebbles. His other popular films include The Cincinnati Kid, The Thomas Crown Affair, Bullitt, The Getaway, and Papillon, as well as the all-star ensemble films The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, and The Towering Inferno. In 1974, he became the highest-paid movie star in the world, although he did not act in films again for 4 years. McQueen was combative with directors and producers, but his popularity placed him in high demand and enabled him to command large salaries. Early life. Terence Steven McQueen was born on March 24, 1930, at St. Francis Hospital in Beech Grove, Indiana, a suburb of Indianapolis. His father, William Terence McQueen, was a stunt pilot for a barnstorming flying circus who left McQueen's mother, Julia Ann, 6 months after meeting her. Julia allegedly was an alcoholic. Unable to cope with caring for a small child, she left him with her parents in Slater, Missouri, in 1933. As the Great Depression set in shortly thereafter, McQueen and his grandparents moved in with Lillian's brother Claude at his farm in Slater. McQueen was raised Catholic. McQueen expressed having good memories of living on the farm, noting that his uncle Claude was a very good man. Very strong, very fair. I learned a lot from him. Claude gave Steve a red tricycle on his 4th birthday, a gift that McQueen subsequently credited with sparking his early interest in racing. At age 8, he was taken to Indianapolis by his mother, who lived there with her new husband. McQueen's departure from his uncle's home was marked by a very special memento given to him on that occasion. The day I left the farm, he recalled, Uncle Claude gave me a personal going-away present, a gold pocket watch, with an inscription inside the case. The inscription read, "To Steve, who has been a son to me." Dyslexic and partly deaf due to a childhood ear infection, Steve did not adjust well to his new life. His new stepfather beat him to such an extent that at age 9, he left home to live on the streets. Soon he was running with a street gang and committing acts of petty crime. Unable to control his behavior, his mother sent him back to Slater. When he was 12, Julia wrote to Claude, asking that her son be returned to her again, to live in her new home in Los Angeles, California. Julia's second marriage had ended in divorce, and she had married a 3rd time. By McQueen's own account, he and his new stepfather locked horns immediately. McQueen recalls him being a prime son of a bitch, who was not averse to using his fists on McQueen and his mother. As McQueen began to rebel again, he was sent back to live with Claude a final time. At age 14, he left Claude's farm without saying goodbye and joined a circus for a short time, then drifted back to his mother and stepfather in Los Angeles, resuming his life as a gang member and petty criminal. McQueen was caught stealing hubcaps by police, who handed him over to his stepfather, who beat him severely, ending the fight by throwing McQueen down a flight of stairs. McQueen looked up at his stepfather and said, "You lay your stinking hands on me again and I swear, I'll kill you." After the incident, McQueen's stepfather persuaded his mother to sign a court order stating that McQueen was incorrigible, remanding him to the California Junior Boys Republic in Chino. Here, McQueen began to change and mature. He was not popular with the other boys at first. Say the boys had a chance once a month to load into a bus and go into town to see a movie. And they lost out, because one guy in the bungalow didn't get his work done right. Well, you can pretty well guess they're gonna have something to say about that. I paid my dues with the other fellows quite a few times. I got my lumps, no doubt about it. The other guys in the bungalow had ways of paying you back for interfering with their well-being. Ultimately, McQueen became a role model when he was elected to the Boys' Council, a group who set the rules and regulations governing the boys' lives. He eventually left the Boys' Republic at age 16. When he later became famous, he regularly returned to talk to the boys and retained a lifelong association. At 16, McQueen left Chino Hills and returned to his mother, now living in Greenwich Village, New York. He then met two sailors from the Merchant Marine and volunteered to serve on a ship bound for the Dominican Republic. Once there, he abandoned his new post, eventually being employed in a brothel. Afterwards, McQueen made his way to Texas and drifted from job to job. He worked as a roughneck, a carnival barker and a lumberjack. Military service. In 1947, McQueen joined the United States Marine Corps and was promoted to private first class and assigned to an armored unit. Initially he reverted to his prior rebelliousness and was demoted to private 7 times. He took an unauthorized absence by failing to return after a weekend pass expired, staying with a girlfriend for 2 weeks until the shore patrol caught him. He resisted arrest and spent 41 days in the brig. After this, he resolved to focus his energies on self-improvement and embraced the Marines' discipline. He saved the lives of 5 other Marines during an Arctic exercise, pulling them from a tank before it broke through ice into the sea. He was assigned to the Honor Guard, responsible for guarding then U.S. President Harry Truman's yacht. McQueen served until 1950, when he was honorably discharged. He later said he had enjoyed his time in the Marines. The 1950s. In 1952, with financial assistance provided by the GI Bill, McQueen began studying acting in New York, at Sanford Meisner's neighborhood playhouse. Reportedly, he delivered his first dialogue on a theater stage in a 1952 play produced by Yiddish theater star Molly P. Conn. McQueen's character spoke one brief line, "Orts is Farloin." During this time, he also studied acting with Stella Adler, in whose class he met Gia Scala. McQueen began to earn money by competing in weekend motorcycle races at Long Island City Raceway, and purchased the first of many motorcycles, a Harley-Davidson. He soon became an excellent racer, and went home each weekend with about $100 in winnings. He appeared as a musical judge in an episode of ABC's Jukebox Jury, that aired in the 1953-1954 season. McQueen had minor roles in productions including Peg My Heart, The Member of the Wedding, and Two Fingers of Pride. He made his Broadway debut in 1955 in the play A Hatful of Rain, starring Ben Gazzara. In late 1955, at the age of 25, McQueen left New York and headed for California, where he moved into a house on Vestal Avenue in the Echo Park area, seeking acting jobs in Hollywood. While McQueen appeared in a 2-part television Westinghouse Studio One presentation entitled The Defenders, Hollywood manager Hilly Elkins took note of him and decided that B-movies would be a good place for the young actor to make his mark. He landed his first film role in a bit part in Somebody Up There Likes Me, directed by Robert Wise and starring Paul Newman. McQueen was subsequently hired for the films Never Love a Stranger, The Blob, which depicts a flesh-eating amoeba-like space creature, and The Great St. Louis Bank Robbery. McQueen's first breakout role came on television. He appeared on Dale Robertson's NBC Western series, Tales of Wells Fargo. Elkins, then McQueen's manager, successfully lobbied Vincent M. Fennelly, producer of the Western series Trackdown, to have McQueen read for the part of bounty hunter Josh Randall in a Trackdown episode. McQueen appeared as Randall in the episode. Cast opposite series lead and old New York motorcycle racing buddy Robert Culp. McQueen then filmed the pilot episode, which became the series titled Wanted, Dead or Alive, which aired on CBS in September 1958. The 1960s. In the interviews and the DVD release of Wanted, Trackdown star Robert Culp claims credit for bringing McQueen to Hollywood and landing him the part of Randall. He said he taught McQueen the art of the fast draw, adding that, on the second day of filming, McQueen beat him. McQueen became a household name as a result of this series. Randall's special holster held a sawed-off .44-40 Winchester rifle nicknamed the Mare's Leg, instead of the 6-gun carried by the typical Western character, although the cartridges in the gun belt were dummy .45-70, chosen because they looked tougher. Coupled with the generally negative image of the bounty hunter, this added to the anti-hero image infused with mystery and detachment that made this show stand out from the typical TV Western. The 94 episodes that ran from 1958 until early 1961 kept McQueen steadily employed, and he became a fixture at the renowned Iverson Movie Ranch in Chatsworth, Los Angeles. California, where much of the outdoor action for Wanted, Dead or Alive was shot. At 29, McQueen got a significant break when Frank Sinatra removed Sammy Davis Jr. from the film Never So Few after Davis supposedly made some mildly negative remarks about Sinatra in a radio interview, and Davis's role went to McQueen. Sinatra saw something special in McQueen and ensured that the young actor got plenty of close-ups in a role that earned McQueen favorable reviews. McQueen's character, Bill Ringer, was never more comfortable than when driving at high speed, in this case in a Jeep, or handling a switchblade or a Tommy gun. After Never So Few, the film's director John Sturges cast McQueen in his next movie, promising to give him the camera, The Magnificent Seven, in which he played Vintana and co-starred with Yul Brynner, Eli Wallach, Robert Vaughn, Charles Bronson, and James Coburn. Became McQueen's first major hit and led to his withdrawal from Wanted, Dead or Alive. McQueen's focused portrayal of the taciturn second lead catapulted his career. His added touches in many of the shots, such as shaking a shotgun round before loading it, repeatedly checking his gun while in the background of a shot, and wiping his hat rim, annoyed co-star Brynner, who protested that McQueen was trying to steal scenes. Brynner refused to draw his gun in the same scene with McQueen, not wanting his character outdrawn. McQueen played a lead role in the next big Sturges film, 1963's The Great Escape, Hollywood's fictional depiction of the true story of a historical mass escape from a World War II POW camp. Stalag Luft 3. Insurance concerns prevented McQueen from performing the film's notable motorcycle leap, which was done by his friend and fellow cycle enthusiast Bud Ekins, who resembled McQueen from a distance. When Johnny Carson later tried to congratulate McQueen for the jump during a broadcast of The Tonight Show, McQueen said, "It wasn't me. That was Bud Ekins." This film established McQueen's box office clout and secured his status as a superstar. In 1963, McQueen starred in Love with the Proper Stranger with Natalie Wood. He later appeared as the titular Nevada Smith, a character from Harold Robbins' novel, The Carpetbaggers, portrayed by Alan Ladd 2 years earlier in a movie version of that novel. Nevada Smith was an enormously successful Western action-adventure film that also featured Carl Malden and Suzanne Pleshette. After starring in 1965's The Cincinnati Kid as a poker player, McQueen earned his only Academy Award nomination in 1966 for his role as an engine room sailor in The Sand Pebbles, in which he stars opposite Candice Bergen and Richard Attenborough. He followed his Oscar nomination with 1968's Bullitt, one of his best-known films, which co-starred Jacqueline Bisset, Robert Vaughn, and Don Gordon. It featured an unprecedented auto chase through San Francisco. Although McQueen did do the driving that appeared in close-up, this was about 10% of what is seen in the film's car chase. The rest of the driving by McQueen's character was done by stunt drivers Bud Ekins and Loren Janes. The antagonist's black Dodge Charger was driven by veteran stunt driver Bill Hickman. McQueen, his stunt drivers, and Hickman spent several days before the scene was shot practicing high-speed, close-quarters driving. Bullitt went so far over budget that Warner Brothers cancelled the contract on the rest of his films, 7 in all. When Bullitt became a huge box office success, Warner Brothers tried to woo him back, but he refused, and his next film was made with an independent studio and released by United Artists. For this film, McQueen went for a change of image, playing a debonair role as a wealthy executive and the Thomas Crown Affair with Faye Dunaway in 1968. The following year, he made the Southern period piece The Reivers. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?